Welcome to VLearn Virtual Learning Network. This is session number 17 of Personal Administration and the topic is training. Topics to be covered in this session are importance of training, training in developing countries, meaning of training, objectives of training, types of training, methods and techniques of training, historical development of the concept of training of civil servants, Indian systems of training, agencies and institutions of training in India, critical evaluation of the Indian system of training. Now come to the first topic, that is importance of training. Training of civil servants has become an important aspect of modern personnel management, and it has been recognized by all the governments that suitable and effective training program for their civil servants is absolutely necessary for efficient and up-to-date administration. On the one hand, the functions of the governments have increased and expanded rapidly, and on the other, administration has become more and more complex, specialized and technical. The recruitment policies and programs based on merit system try to select the best qualified and competent persons in the civil service. Training prepares an employee for the new administrative task, and training improves his/her skills and efficiency. Training prepares him for higher and higher responsibility. Although the formal education of an employee is normally completed before he enters the civil services, but the process of education in the form of training continues even afterwards. Training is thus necessary before entering the civil service and even afterwards. Like education, training is also a lifelong process. Education influences the entire process of the upbringing of an individual from the childhood and the formation of personality, character, habits, manners, attitudes, mental and physical capabilities, etc. Education in general aims at broadening the mind, but training aims at improving the specific skills and knowledge required for some particular kind of work or profession. However, both education and training are closely related to each other, and many times they overlap each other. The importance of training has been recognized by most countries, including India. They have devised suitable training programs for their civil servants and established many training institutions for implementing these programs. However, these arrangements are inadequate and a great need of training is felt in many countries. Now, training in developing countries. Training of civil servants is of basic importance in all countries, but the need and importance of training is more urgently felt in developing countries. There are many factors responsible for this urgent need for training in developing countries. There is generally a shortage of training and qualified persons in most developing countries. Training facilities and training institutions are inadequate in these countries. Functions of the government have increased rapidly, and they are called upon to perform many new functions which required highly skilled and technically trained personnel. Administration is engaged with complex technical and specialized function. Socio-economic conditions in these countries are rapidly changing, and in order to meet the challenge of these rapid changes, there is a need of innovation in administration, and there is a public pressure on the governments to implement the development programs with extraordinary speed and efficiency. Because of these factors, the need of training of civil servants is more urgently felt in developing countries, and in fact, we can say that in these countries, the entire success of the development policies depend upon checking out systematic and suitable training programs and its timely implementation through the appropriate training institutions. Meaning of training, that is, what is the meaning of training? The dictionary meaning of training is imparting instructions in a particular art, profession or occupation. But in the public administration, training means conscious efforts made to improve the skills, power and intelligence of an employee and to develop his attitudes and value system in a desired direction. In broad and general terms, training is a lifelong phenomena. Training informally and unconsciously begins with our childhood itself, but in the narrow and specialized sense, training of civil servants is a deliberate effort directed to increase the specific skills and vocational competence of the civil servants in their routine work. William Torfey defined training as the process of developing skills, habits, knowledge and aptitudes in employees for the purpose of increase the efficiency of the employees in their present government positions as well as preparing the employee for future government positions. About the meaning of training, we can say that training is a conscious, deliberate and planned effort. Training is a specific and limited. It means imparted instructions about a particular work or profession. Its purpose is to improve the skill, knowledge and effectiveness of the employees in their task, and lastly, it also aims at preparing an employee for higher responsibilities. Now, objectives of training. Following are the some reasons of the major objective of training of civil servants. Firstly, the training improve the efficiency of the employees in administration. Secondly, training improve the occupational skill and knowledge of the employees so that they can do their work effectively. Thirdly, training inducts a new employee into the organization and impart him knowledge of goals and objectives of the organization, his own role in the organization and techniques and methods of carrying out his duties. Fourthly, because there are constant changes in the goals and techniques of the organizations, training adjusts the employees with the new organizational changes. Fifthly, training makes up for the deficiencies of the newly recruited persons. And last is, training keeps the employees informed about the latest developments in his field and does keep his knowledge up to date. Training develops a sense of community, service and belongingness in the employees. Training makes the employees people-oriented. Training prepares the employees for higher positions and greater responsibilities. Now, different types of training. There are different types of training imparted in different countries. Some of the major varieties of training are as follows: formal and informal, short-term, long-term, pre-entry and post-entry, centralized and departmental training, skill training and background training. Last one is orientation training. Now come to the first, formal and informal training. Informal training is training by experience which an employee acquires during the course of his actual routine work in his organization. No special efforts are necessary for informal training. This is a routine organizational activity and it does not require planned training program, specialist trainers or some training institutes. These kinds of informal training neither prescribed as a specific time period nor a group of trainees is specially selected for it. This has been additional methods of training in public administration and is preferred even now by practical administration, but this process is very hard way of learning and requires a lot of persistence and patience on the part of the employees. It is slow, ineffective and frustrating. Formal training is free from these defects. That is why informal training is not popular among most of the countries. Formal training is the kind of training which is carefully planned, arranged and conducted under the expert supervision and guidance. Specialist training in the training institutes or under the auspices of the departmental training program impart formal training to a specially selected groups of trainees during a specific time period. It consists of a chalked out course of study with lectures, seminars, workshops, groups, discussions, conference, work projects and written reports, etc. It may lead to the award of a professional degree or a certificate of satisfactory completion of training. It may be imparted before the entry into the service or during the probationary period of the career service. It may be full-time or part-time. It may be orientation course or it may be course of general nature. The formal training has defined objective, predetermined course of topic, planned course of action and systematic chosen methods of training. Next is short-term and long-term training. These two types of training depends upon the duration of the training course. Duration of the training depends upon the subject matter of the training course, the nature of service and the need of the government. If the training course is completed in a few weeks or a month or two, it may be called as short-term training, compared to long-term training programs conducted for a period from 6 months to 1 or 2 years. pre-entry and post-entry training. It is clear from the name itself that the training imparted before entering the civil services is pre-entry training, whereas that which is given after a person enters the service is called post-entry training. For pre-entry training, in recent times, many training institutions have been set up to provide training courses for administration and managerial positions in the government. Similarly, there are many institutions and centers which provide training to the candidate appearing for competitive examination. In some places, practice of internship and apprenticeship is commonly employed for pre-training of the probable potential recruits in the service. Post-training is given after a person joins the service. Post-training is very common in many countries and it is also known as in-service training. This in-service training may be a combination of formal or informal methods and it is imparted at all levels in the service. It helps in improving the efficiency and performance of the employees and make them professionally more competent and able. Centralized and departmental training. When training programs is made within a department or office, it aims at limited. It only aims to improve the specific knowledge and skill relating to the department and it is only conducted for its own employees. This type of training is called departmental training. Such training is imparted by experienced officers of the department itself. Police Training College is an example of this type of training. But when training to the officers of many departments is provided by central training agency, it is called centralized training. Skill training and background training. Background training is of general nature. It provides knowledge of such subjects which help the trainees to understand the social, economic, political, administrative and constitutional background and conditions prevailing in the country. The purpose is to broaden the mind and knowledge of the employees and to make them aware of the society and their own role in the society. Orientation training. A new entrant must know about his organization, his work, his working situation and methods. He has to be introduced to his new organization. This is done through orientation training. Orientation training is planned effort to adjust an employee to his organization and his job. Training of civil servants is of prime importance in all countries in order to make civil service more efficient and effective. Everywhere suitable training programs are chalked out. Training is necessary not only for few new entrants but also for those who are already in service. It may be of any type, formal or informal, short-term or long-term, pre-entry or post-entry. Now methods and techniques of training. First is training by experience on job, training by formal instructions, conference methods of training. Training by experience on job. A person is posted on one job and allowed to learn from experience gained by doing that job. Then he is posted to another section's department to learn by experience about that new section. In this way, an employee may be transferred from branch to branch, section to section or department to department and allowed to learn by doing a job. In this method, the training formal instructions are given by the senior officers to the trainees by arranging some lectures or classes. Lectures of outside experts are also arranged. Specific courses planned, classes, group discussion, etc. are arranged for imparting the necessary training to the employees. Head of the officers department also addresses the employees and gives them necessary instructions. Selected group of trainees from different departments are brought together to discuss various problems in the meeting or a conference. The trainees are the active participants in the method of training. All the participants express their views and opinions based on their own experience. This method is called case analysis method of training and it provides the opportunity to learn from the experiences of others. In lecture methods of training, the trainer has an active role, whereas in conference method, the trainees have the active role. They learn from each other by exchanging of experience and ideas. The chairperson of the conference plays the role of guide and instructor. His role is to put the discussion on the right track. Historical development of the concept of training of civil servants. In ancient India, there was an institution called the Guru Shishya Parampara, under which the student stayed away from his home in the Gurukul or ashram to learn the best of the knowledge, skill, and art from the Guru. Ruler, artists, artisans, and even administrators were perfectly trained under the Gurukul system. In Middle Ages in Europe, and craftsmen were trained by formal apprenticeship with experienced craftsmen. Conscious and systematic training began only after the Industrial Revolution in the field of private industry, business, and management. Industrial expansions required skilled and expert workers to operate the intricate machines. In modern times, the social and political conditions have changed. Modern state has become a welfare state. Functions of government have tremendously increased. All governments have to promote the welfare of the people, plan for the socio-economic development, and implement development policies and programs efficiently. After the Second World War, many new states have come into existence where the democratic government are being established. All these changes have made administration a very complex activity, and we need highly skilled personals to run modern administration. Indian system of training. The Indian civil services were manned by the products of the Haileybury College until 1855, when the first competitive examination was held. The successful ICS candidates were required to spend 1 to 2 years in British University and learn subjects like Indian history, Indian law, and Indian languages, etc. During the Second World War, a camp school was set up at Dehradun to impart training to new entrants in the ICS. After independence, the Indian civil service were converted into Indian administrative service, and the institutional training was imparted to the new recruits at the IAS training school, Metcalfe House, etc. The Indian Administrative Service Staff College was set up at Shimla to train senior officials and recruits other than direct recruits. The academy is now named as Lal Bahadur Shastri National Academy of Administration, which is most important central institution of training at a higher civil services, including all India services. During British Raj, it was believed that the education received before joining civil service was sufficient to qualify a person for the job. But after joining the service, he was generally left to learn by experience on the job. Formal training was not considered to be essential for the civil servants. The problem of civil service training has assumed special significance only after independence, and with the change in the social, political, and constitutional conditions, the nature of government work has changed. Functions and machinery of the government has expanded, and many new services have been constituted. Indian system of the training of civil servants is largely conditioned on the British pattern. At the higher level, the emphasis is on a university degree. Principle of catch them young results in recruitment of persons who have no education of training in public administration. They are usually brilliant young men and women with the background of liberal university education. The institution like Central Secretarial Training School, Central Statistical Organization, etc. provide practical job related training to the middle and subordinate level staff. Institutions like Central Secretary Training and others provide practical jobs. The initial post-entry training is imparted in two different ways: institutional training and departments training under the guidance of senior and experienced officers. So, Indian system of training, probationers of the all Indian services like IAS, IPS, and extra are given institutional training in two phases: foundational course and professional course. Now, what is foundational course? It is a combination course for the new entrants of all India services like IAS, Central Service Class, First, etc. The idea behind the foundational course is that the officers of the higher services in India should live together for 5 months and develop a spirit of belongingness to common public service, a feeling of comradeship, and a broad common outlook. At the end of the 5 months, foundational courses of examination is held, in which all the probationals have to appear and all are expected to pass. Now, professional courses. After completion of foundational courses of 5 months at National Academy, the second phase of training is professional course is given to the probationals. Those who belong to IAS continue to stay at National Academy, and a further professional training is given to them for a period of about 2 to 3 months. During this spell of professional training, they study in more details the problems of public administration, district administration, revenue administration, development, and Indian Penal Code. After completion of first spell of professional training, these probations are sent to the state to which he or she has been allotted for practical on the job training for 1 year. At the end of the year, the probationals again come to the academy for the second spell of problem orientation professional training. Emphasis is placed on the discussion of particular administrative problems. At the end of the second spell of training at the academy, the IAS probationals appear at an examination conducted by the UPSC. After the completion of the foundational course at the National Academy, they are sent to various specialized training institutions for further professional trainings. Now, training methods. There are 4 training methods: lecture on the subject matter, assignment, case analysis, and apprenticeship. Refresher courses. The senior and experienced civil servants are given the refresher courses 2 to 3 times in their career for the purpose of conducting these short-term training programs. There are many institutions in the country. For the IAS officers, apart from the intensive entry point training of 2 years are discussed earlier, there are 2 types of training programs. 4th week training program in general management and administration, arranged 2 to 4 times in the career of an employee. 1 week compulsory refresher programs for every IAS officer every year. Agencies and institutions of training in India: Lal Bahadur Shastri National Academy of Administration, Central Police Training College, National Police Academy, etc. Training of civil servants has assumed great importance after independence, and it has become an integral part of the government's personnel policy. A number of new training institutions have been set up in the country to provide both general and specialized training program. In spite of this boon, the training system has not been able to fulfill the expectations that have been there from it. There have been many weaknesses in the Indian system of training. In the light of the vastness of the country and rapidly expanding spheres of the government functions, the training arrangements are not adequate to meet the training requirement. Second, too much emphasis is laid on entry point and in-service training of the higher civil services like All India services and central and state class first services. Thirdly, there is a general lack of seriousness on the part of government. Fourthly, the content of the training program are not always relevant. Fifthly, in most cases, the training institutions follow traditional lecture methods. Now, there are some questions on the basis of this session. First one is, what are the aims and objectives of training? Second, explain pre-entry and post-entry training. That's it for this session. Thank you. Happy learning. We learning.